I thought you were reading. I didn't want to.
No, no.
Excuse me.
I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. The prison rape. My office talked to somebody who was involved in a prison rape and connected to the Justice Department. When Senator Kennedy and Bobby Scott and I put this in, we wanted this thing passed.
Sure.
I can send you, and I will send you. And I would ask you on the record, if you promise me you're going to read them,
okay,
some of the cases of some of these people that have been raped. Some are very young, too. And we sent a letter back in July of this year, Senator Kennedy, Congressman Scott, and myself. What you're doing is you're duplicating everything the Commission has done. You're going out on a contract now to look at everything. And just because some prison wardens don't like this, or the Bureau of Prisons may not like it, the longer you delay, the more people are going to be raped, period. And now what you're telling us is this will not be in place until 2011 and maybe 2012. That's unacceptable. And I don't know why you did it. I don't know the operation of the department. This was looked at carefully. And I think to reduce the funding for it, too, sends me a message that the Justice Department, whoever's putting your budget together, isn't really that care. I want a commitment. You're going to expedite this thing, move this thing through, knowing that each and every day that you don't do it, someone in some prison, maybe a state prison, maybe a jail, maybe a federal prison, is going to be raped. And so what I want to do is we want to pass this thing. We want to move this thing. We want to get it out and get it up and running. And 2011, it'd be a year and a half to 2 years late. So what can you tell me that you're going to kind of do away with this contracting thing out and do what the Commission says, or do something to make this thing happen fast?
Well, in terms of just funding, and that's what I was looking at here, we have total funding of over $16 million available to us in 2010, our $5 million in 2011, plus our current funds is really sufficient to finish the survey process and to provide implementation help to our state and local partners. So we think that with the money that we have, we are capable of doing the job that you want done and the job that I want to have done. We don't want to do this in a slipshod way. We want to affect substantive, real change so that the horrors that are too often visited upon people in our prisons, that horror is eliminated. I look forward to working with you on that. I mean, we are on exactly the same page on that one. I mean, this is something that I think needs to be done, not tomorrow, but yesterday. And to the extent that we are not being as efficient, not being as aggressive as we need to be, it's good for you to bring that to my attention. But I can tell you, I am sincere in my desire to make sure that we get this done as quickly as we can. I think we have sufficient funds to do it. I think the process that we have laid out will make sure that the changes that we implement will be ones that will have a substantive impact and will not simply be things that you see on paper but don't affect the lives of people in prisons. That's my goal.
I think it's fair to say most members of the Commission don't agree with you, and I think you know the chairman of the committee, Reggie Walton. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Mr. Schiff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to quickly address a couple of the comments that were made about Guantanamo. In addition to Colin Powell and President Bush advocating the closure of Guantanamo, the assessment of military commanders within DOD is that closing Guantanamo would, well, it's a national security imperative in the war against al-Qaeda. That's according to John Brennan, the Assistant President for Homeland Security and Counterterrorism. Secretary Gates, Admiral Mullen, and General Petraeus have all stated that closing Guantanamo will help our troops by eliminating a potent recruiting tool. My colleague, I think, sets up a straw man argument that because many of us, including the Defense Secretary, believe that Gitmo is a recruiting tool, that we're somehow arguing if you close Guantanamo, it'll end the war on terrorism. Of course, no one has ever made that claim. But I've yet to hear the advocates of keeping Guantanamo open acknowledge any merit to the the propaganda tool it has served for al-Qaeda and the downside of keeping that open. I also, again, in terms of the criticism regarding the arrest and Miranda advisement of Abdullah Mattab, I think that argument would have a lot more policy weight and a lot less political overtone if these same folks who are attacking the administration now had leveled any criticism of Attorney General Ashcroft when the shoe bomber was arrested, which coincidentally was also a December, almost Christmas Day, I think December 21st, effort to blow up an aircraft. And he was advised of his Miranda rights within the first 5 minutes and was advised a total of 4 times within 48 hours. And I don't remember hearing a peep of criticism of the Bush Justice Department at that time. So, again, I think we ought to try to keep the politics out of this and not be selective in our criticism.